can you pass me my notes? The cup. Yeah, thank you. I have notes here. So I'm just going to write a couple keywords here so you can follow, hopefully something at least. Oh, this is not good.
Neither is that.
No.
Use the orange.
Oh, the orange one. All right, thank you. Looks better. All right, so we're going to be talking about Weconomy today. That's the name of the project. And a couple keywords related to that. Karma. Quorum. Personal responsibility. That's 2 words, I know. So yeah, I hope everybody can see. So Weconomy, karma, quorum, personal responsibility. My name is Niko Laumanen. I'm the chairman of Finnish Cryptocurrency Association Consensus. And today I'm going to be talking about Weconomy, which is a project that I'm part of. I help with the growth there. It's not going to be a company, it's going to be a protocol, and it's open source completely. So I'm not looking for any investment here. I'm not looking for anybody's money. What I'm looking for is, since I'm talking to a bunch of IT professionals, first and foremost, I would like your help with solving our complex game theory problems, coding problems. And we are recruiting all the time. We are hurting, especially with developers who can help us actually bring this vision to light. So let me talk to you a little bit first about, first of all, what's the background here? Like, I didn't see how many been to cryptocurrencies less than 2 months. Can you raise your hands? Less than 2 months. That's about half of the, okay, I have a little bit of better idea. So, I didn't see any hands when Alexia asked if somebody knew about Ethereum. So can I see a show of hands who knows Ethereum, what it is? So that's, again, about half, okay. So do you know what smart contracts are, I assume? Yeah, at least the people who know Ethereum probably know that it deals with the smart contracts and stuff. All right, so Weconomy tries to bridge the gap between technical people and the technology itself, of course, and users. Just like internet in the 1994, it wasn't very user-friendly. It took tens of minutes to download a picture, and you had to hang up the phone. You couldn't have calls at the same time. It wasn't especially useful to most people, and a lot of people said it's a fad. It's not going to last. And I think we have something similar going on with cryptocurrencies now. Some people call it the Web 10.0 or whatever. Doesn't really matter. The point is the technology makes a lot of things possible, and most notably what Bitcoin blockchain makes possible is the immutability of transactions between 2 parties. So let's say there's me and, for example, you, and then we want to make an exchange. So we normally need a third party that says that's okay. That third party being maybe we have a mutual bank, we're bank buddies, and then the third party will say, okay, well, now you have this much money and you have this much money. But what Bitcoin does is that we don't need the third party, we just transact value. However, it's not super easy to do, and the infrastructure is simply not there right now, and that's where Weconomy steps in. And what we want to do is what kind of like Netscape and this kind of software layers did to internet. Like, who knows how to what a TCP/IP protocol does? Probably most people don't, and yet most people still know how to use the internet. It's quite adapted and it's easy to use, and that's precisely what we want to do. We want to have an application that anybody who knows how to download a mobile application is able to download. It will work like an eBay, basically. I think everybody knows eBay, that popularized this peer-to-peer marketplace. But again, it's a centralized party that is providing a service. So there's a central point of failure, like you mentioned in your lecture. So what if you could have a protocol that everybody could just subscribe to, opt in, and then do their business there, and it would have all these same functionalities, basically like a reputation system, which was originally popularized by eBay, and that's We're going to talk about it a little bit more in the karma. That's the karma point system. And I think we can all agree here that this kind of reputation and review system has become the standard of recognizing good behavior online, let's say that you can trust, somehow establish a trust with an untrusted third party. So then you can see if they have a lot of likes and it looks like they are stand-up people. At least they would have to go through a lot of deception and trouble to keep up this kind of appearances. So it just creates a degree of trust. And of course, we are talking about trustless systems here, like Bitcoin is supposed to be trustless, but you do have to trust on the technology side. So that's why it's very important that it's an open source project that you can simply just check the code. And for me, it's always daunting to talk to tech professionals because I'm not a technical person, I'm a generalist. So if you have any technical questions, I'll do my best to answer, but I will speak from a general point of view and how to kind of like explain these systems to the vast majority of non-technical people. So this is basically what we are trying to do. And by the way, please feel free to just raise your hand if you have questions. If I talk too fast, and you can just jump in and we can just talk about whichever part you find interesting. Any questions so far? Before I start to talk about more about the karma model. Did I explain the project clearly? Okay, I get a lot of nods. Fantastic. I hope it's also an interesting topic. I love to talk about this because I really believe this is the key to success in the long run. And this is what we're trying to, like I mentioned earlier, the kind of like this game we are playing here, we can reach an equilibrium where everybody can win. And this is one way to do it. And of course, some establishments probably have a different alignment in the interests. So that's one reason why we're not establishing a company, because companies can be shut down. Bitcoin can't be shut down. It's not a company. It doesn't have a CEO. Weconomy aims to be a software layer of the same sorts, open source. Anybody can use it. Anybody can develop it. And it's going to be free for all. Because if it's not so, if we put a company there, there will be a lot of, I would assume there will be a lot of institutions that would probably not like to see trading of goods and services move from the hands of third parties to the hands of people from peer-to-peer, because that will obviously cut up a lot of middlemen and kill a lot of businesses. Regardless, this is what we feel like is the best interest in the consumer's perspective. Like if you think about the world we live in today, we have a lot of these awesome services that we think are free, like for example, Facebook, Instagram, and whenever you get something for free, something that is useful to you and you like to use it, then you are the product that is being sold. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. Your data is being collected and monetized by these central parties that then offer you free service. And for some people that is okay, it's totally fine, as long as you understand you are making that trade-off. And what Weconomy tries to provide is an alternative where you control your data, you control your transactions, you control your money, all the value goes straight to your pocket. Of course, there's kind of got to be some kind of a treasury model for future development, but essentially it will be always more smaller than a centralized big company that has a large overhead. We would only have this kind of like a very small treasury that we would use to pay out new users, give them a sort of an airdrop, because people like free money. And that's a way to, even if you have the best industry, best application to kill eBay, you're not going to kill eBay just because you have in all ways a better product, because people still need to install it, people still need to start using it, people have to start to accumulate network effects. So the more people are using your service, the more valuable it becomes. And how to get people in is to give them some free money. And that has proven very successful in the crypto markets, to give these airdrops. At least people are trying these products, and then it's hard to say no to some free money. So there's definitely something we are looking to incorporate just to get the incentives correct. And this is something that, by the way, I'm veering off the topic a little bit here, but a lot of token projects claim that it's necessary to launch your own token for the incentivization model, which I don't buy at all, because you could use Bitcoin. You could certainly use Bitcoin to reward your users, and that's what we are looking at. So creating your own token more often than not, 95% of the time, is trying to print your own money into your own pocket. And as long as it works, it's being done. And it's just very important to be aware of this, that there's this game being played. And if you're not aware of it, then you are going to be in the losing end of that game. So that's what I want to talk about in the personal responsibility also. But a little bit more about the karma. Yeah, we decided to name it that way because it's simple, elegant word, and it pretty much tells the whole story you need to know. Like, we don't want to collect anybody's data. We don't want for you to send us, and there wouldn't be a central party to verify to start your IDs or passports or anything like that. There shouldn't be any KYC, know your customer. There can't be any kind of like this compliance with the bank regulations because there's nobody that will comply because it's a protocol that everybody can use. So how to distinguish users on the platform and karma, I feel like is the perfect way to do it, because what do I care when I go buy something? I have a need. I want to buy a laptop, let's say. All I care about is that person who is selling the laptop going to screw me over? Is it safe for me to send the money, and then will I get what I pay for? I don't care about that person at all. I don't even want to know their name necessarily. Like, why would I make friends with somebody that I just want to make business with? And this is the beauty, because then you can trust. Let's say that there's on Weconomy platform. It's just like, imagine it's eBay, but it's just called Weconomy. There's the laptop. And we, by the way, have the app is already in alpha stage, that it's functioning, and we can use it on a phone, and we have the open alpha running now. So if you want to check it out, alpha.weconomy.io. Anyway, so imagine that you have this listing of a laptop, and it costs a certain amount of money. First of all, you won't see it cost 0.1 Bitcoin, but it costs your local currency, whatever it is, for example, euros. It will convert in the background just with the current rate. It will show you that it costs this many euros. And then you don't need to know that you're using in the background, the asset is actually Bitcoin that you're using. So the software will do all that thinking for you. And of course, if you read through the white paper or the code, then it will be all revealed to you how it actually works. But the truth is, most people are not they're not interested at all how it works. They just want it to work. So what you want when you're looking at the laptop there, you want to see the profile, of course, who is selling it, how many karma points they have. Let's say they have negative karma, you're going to move on. You're not even going to waste your time. You find somebody who has the same laptop for higher karma, and thus we have recreated a positive feedback loop that eBay first popularized, this reputation system. And we can use that for other things too, because once people start doing all transactions in this manner, like you could sell any kind of services, you could do translation services, you could sell meatballs, you could sell old stuff, anything basically. Once people start doing that and people start accumulating karma, and you suddenly have this high karma standing in a very useful platform, you're going to want to protect that. So that's where the game gets interesting. You are going to actively behave better to get more karma, provide better services to get more karma. And in the future implementations, we plan to use this karma rating for other things as well. Like, for example, you could secure crypto loans based on your karma rating, because people can see that this is a trustworthy person. It doesn't matter if it's a man or woman, what their name is, where they're from, what their age is. Those are all irrelevant information that we don't really need for the transaction. I'm not interested in that. I don't think most people are interested in that. So this would kind of tie in with again with the personal responsibility. But do you guys have any questions about karma? I think I pretty much covered it. I don't want to go on too long. Or should we move to the next part? Talk about the quorum. All right. So this is often what I hear is that, well, you need regulation, you need to comply, and this, that, and yeah, which it is true. You need some kind of regulation, but it's also a difference between centrally planned regulation and personal regulation by community. Like we have consensus in Bitcoin, for example. That's self-regulation. That means that not everything goes. Very specific things that the community decided goes, and this is self-regulation, and this is what we feel like is the correct direction here as well, because we are talking about a decentralized platform that cannot, first of all, cannot be controlled by any single party. That's the whole point. So then how do we weed out bad actors is the first question, the second question. Then quorum model would be one way to think about it, and that could be individuals of high karma level. Let's say that 5% of the users, whatever the user base might be, then the quorum size for each and every dispute would get bigger. But let's say that the first time people start selling things, first day there's going to be a dispute. I guarantee that there's going to be a problem. Somebody's not happy with the service or laptop they bought. There's going to be a problem. So then that's why you have a thumbs up and thumbs down. And only when the thumbs from both parties are up, the escrow will be released. And the escrow is a smart contract, essentially, that holds the money. So that can be done decentralized, so nobody actually says that, okay, this and this happened, and now we can release the money. The only thing that has to happen is that both users give the thumbs up, and then the funds are released, and that's it. It's final. So what happens if the other one says, no, it's not okay, and the other one says, yes, it's okay? Well, then quorum tab will be opened, or quorum call, or whatever we call it, and then let's say the top 10 karma holders will be sent instant message or a ping or a red balloon, whatever, on their phone, and they can check. There's the open cases right now. There's the compensation. If you're going to use your time, you should be compensated because nobody's going to do it for free. If you compensate on making a verdict on a case, you will be presented all the evidence and all the messages and everything related to that without any personal data, of course. And then let's say that you have 100 people, 1,000 people, depending on the whole network size. Let's say 10% or 5% of all the total users, the top karma holders, will get together and then make a verdict. And then the way to enforce a correct verdict, because we don't want the situation that everybody can just get the money and just vote wherever. You don't even read the papers or read the case and just vote 50-50. To disincentivize that, we could only reward from the correct verdict. So the majority rules, only those people who are voting for the majority will get paid, and the ones who are voting for the minority will not get paid. And this would force people to think, go through the papers. How are the other people going to think? How are the other people? And this brings in empathy, and you start to think, put yourself in other people's shoes, which is, for me, it's great. And I think we can reach some kind of real verdict with that, without somebody just saying like, well, this goes and this doesn't go. It's more organic that way. So that's basically, it's a rough, very rough idea at the moment. We only have our white paper 0.1, which is also public, weconomy.io. Please go there, help, participate, and also join in our Telegram. It's Weconomy. Just search for Weconomy, you will find the page. And definitely we would appreciate any kind of help we can get developing this further. So do you guys want to have any questions about the quorum model or the karma model? Yes, Alex?
What if there's a dispute between the top karma holders?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess it comes down to the pool of the quorum, how many members will there be. So I would think that by adding more quorum members, you would eventually reach a 51% majority on the verdict, which is of course debatable, like, you know, but it is the majority after all. But somehow you can't escape the majority rule here, in my opinion, because you gotta draw the line somewhere, or otherwise there will just be a lot of unfinished transactions and the whole platform is broken. So I guess it's a question of which is the lesser evil here. But of course, I'm open for any kind of suggestions because we haven't really thought this through, obviously. But that's a great question. Yeah, and there will be a lot of disagreements when people do their transactions with each other.
How are the quorum members selected? Are they selected randomly, or is it just sorted by the karma?
So you're asking how are the top karma holders picked? Yeah, that's a great question. I think at this moment the most logical thing would be the top karma holders. So a percentage of all the, let's say, percentage of the total user base ranked on the karma level. So let's say 10% gets the karma call, and then the system calculates, checks who is ranking on the 10 percentile of the top karma holders, and those get the notification. Yes.
On what basis are they making a decision about the...
What basis are they making a decision on the quorum? Good question. Well, I think all the messages sent between the two parties that are having the conflict should be obviously included. And then on top of that, whenever there's a dispute open, there should be a text field on your mobile app where you fill out your complaints or you tell the quorum your side, and you could include any pictures or any media like that. Yeah.
But the point of this is to have like privacy. So if you are sending like your like transaction to every top 5, that's a lot of people know your transaction.
That's a good point. I wouldn't say anonymity is the actual point here. We're not trying to achieve like privacy necessarily. It's more like a feature, kind of like Bitcoin is. It's pseudonymous. It's not anonymous. But if you choose not to incorporate any of your details with the private key, then you can stay private. But that's not the end goal here. Rather, we want to provide a fully transparent tax reporting locally, like that can be certainly done. But again, the personal responsibility should always be within the user. So if the user chooses not to pay tax, the user chooses to break the law, that will be out of our hands, obviously, as developers, because we are only providing the technology. Yes?
How do you set the rates or arrive at a reasonable rate of compensation for handling games, especially since they can be quite different and the
Right.
workloads can be quite different?
Yeah, that's another good point, and I don't have an answer for that one yet. That's definitely on the list, but I would assume we would have to come up with some kind of a way to automatically analyze the amount of data you have to go through. Maybe there's some other kind of data we can collect on the different kinds of transactions, and obviously once we have more and more, then we have some data that we can defer to. But right now, I can't really give an answer to that, but definitely something we need to fix. Thanks for that. Oh, I'm loving the questions so far. It's really tricky ones. Yeah, feel free to join in some more.
So do you plan to how to like host your services?
How to host our services?
Do you want like a decentralized, or would you?
Yeah, that's another big issue we have, the decentralized data storage, because obviously we do need pictures of the products and we need to store text and stuff like that. So we'll be looking at, IPFS is one option, I think. There's other options as well, which I'm not totally confident on. A lot of crypto related projects like Sia Coin, Filecoin, those kind of things. Haven't really looked into those. I don't have a whole lot of hope. We've been looking at our own solution as well, where you could actually monetize your extra phones lying around by turning them into Weconomy nodes. So you would just basically the identification of unique users to avoid Sybil attacks is one big problem we have. One we're thinking about is to tie the identity of the account to an email code on a mobile device. So that would allow for each and every mobile device to act as a Weconomy hardware wallet, where would actually, we've been thinking about this kind of thing, that we have a lot of old phones, right, that are pretty much obsolete for most users, and at least people don't want to use the old phones. So there's a heap of like in the landfill already, these phones and batteries and stuff. What if we could use them for like Weconomy nodes by providing decentralized data storage through because they do have some idle data and probably they're just collecting dust, and you could add some extra data with memory cards and stuff like that, and you would get paid based on the usage of those things. So imagine a situation that you have a lot of old cell phones, and you would basically create a rack for your Weconomy farm where you could provide services through those accounts. So of course, there's a lot of problems with this kind of thinking as well, but definitely we're looking at different options, and yeah, we haven't solved that one either. So all the help received in that. Was there another part of your question? You asked about the decentralized hosting. I just answered the data hosting part.
I think you answered.
Right.
But my next one actually is you're going to use the Bitcoin as the transfer to the local currency somehow?
No, not transfer. So what you ask is that is there a fiat conversion between or euro conversion between Bitcoin? Yeah. And no, there's no such thing at any point, because if there is such a point where we touch fiat, it becomes a lot more complex, a lot more difficult in the regulatory perspective, and we simply just don't want to touch fiat. We want to bring up this new way of transacting, and fiat just doesn't fit that. However, the good thing about using Bitcoin infrastructure is that it by far has the most ATMs available, for example, all kinds of services, wallet services. So what a Weconomy node or a phone would actually be is a hardware Bitcoin wallet that you could use the QR code and go to an ATM and get your money in the local cash if you want. Or vice versa, you could top up your Weconomy account with the local cash using Bitcoin ATMs because the infrastructure is already there. And you would also have these easy instructions in the app. And we are also be thinking about Weconomy branded ATMs, which I believe go for like, I don't know, $2,000 or something like that. So we could install those to show people that where you can get this Weconomy money out, or diamond money, or bonus points, or whatever. People are familiar with virtual goods, like from games and bonus points and air miles and stuff like that. So if there's like karma diamonds or whatever the currency we call it, like in-game currency, then we will just convert to the the current Bitcoin rate every time there's a transaction. And of course, there's the matter of volatility in the beginning, but this is not a product that is scheduled to be released anytime soon, because we have so many things that we have to hash out before we can release it to the public. So it takes time to build it, and it also obviously depends a lot on the Bitcoin's ability to scale. Bitcoin second layer solutions, such as the rootstock that we are looking at using for implementing the smart contracts. It's another thing that a lot of people don't know, that you can actually already do smart contracts on Bitcoin. It's not quite as, you can't do everything like you can do on Ethereum smart contracts. With Solidity, you can pretty much code anything in existence, but in Bitcoin it's a little bit different. Rootstock is bringing ERC20 compliant smart contracts on top of Bitcoin with a second layer solution, which means the data is recorded in the main Bitcoin blockchain only momentarily, and the smart contract stuff is done on a sidechain solution, so those don't get recorded, but rather the starting and the final balance of the contract, or an escrow. So to sum up, the main smart contracts would be the escrow, of course, which would form the backbone of making transactions between people, and then the treasury one, which will take a small microcut of each and every transaction to the treasury, and then use the treasury to pay out the new airdrops, the new users, to incentivize people to get their old phone and put it up a Weconomy node to start earning passive income or whatever, or just simply use it. Awesome questions. Any more?
So for the IT professionals, how do we join the project? What do we do?
First thing would be to join our Telegram. I hope everybody's using Telegram, because it's, at the moment, in my opinion, one of the better, like, mainstream-ish ways to communicate that is end-to-end encrypted and doesn't save all our data and monetize it. So I recommend Telegram. We have a Telegram group, Weconomy. Twitter we also have, but it's not super active. We are releasing all our public meetings on YouTube, also under Weconomy. You can check, we have 2 meetings so far. You can check those out, definitely. You can join in anytime when we have these calls. We are forming a new blockchain development initiative, which all you are also welcome to join. It's called the Blockfish. We haven't come out the stealth entirely, but the Blockfish will start developing for Weconomy first and foremost, and then also for NX Solar, which is another project that I'm part of. And we are going to be developing for these kind of like world-changing blockchain startups mainly, and that will be our niche. So definitely reach out to me on Telegram. I'll hook you up with all the contacts I have, and all the help really warmly welcomed. Yeah. I think that's pretty much. I'm sure I forgot something, but I don't want to take up your time too much either. Any more questions in the end?
Are you working with Hyperledger Fabric?
No, not Hyperledger. I'm not familiar with the. I mean, I'm aware of the technology, but I'm no expert. Hyperledger, in my opinion, it's more like a distributed database solution.
No, it's not only database.
Okay.
For transactions as well.
But it's a centralized thing.
No, decentralized. But the good point there is you can configure more settings. For example, we have a transaction with you, but sometimes I don't know that you can know all my information.
Mm-hmm.
And we have different suppliers. You can hide in some kind of information, so you have more control.
Okay. Well, I need to look into that because I don't. Yeah. It's good to be aware of all the different technologies because it feels like every week there's a new thing. I know Hyperledger is not a new thing. It's been a while for a while. Yeah.
Because now it's actually the banks is going there. Start working with that.
Yeah, it's difficult to predict what will be the final protocol. We are protocol agnostic. So even though at the moment I would profile myself as Bitcoin maximalist, it may change. I reserve the right to change my mind, and once evidence is presented that there's a better option, then we will switch, likely.
Feel free.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. Are we satisfied?
I think so.
Awesome. Thank you for your attention.
So I guess that's all for